What's up, y'all? Welcome to More Time Podcast. I am Nick of Time.
And I am G Time. Father
And
Time.
behind the computer, we got Can Do Ken of Time. Yeah, this is the podcast where you get more of the times, more time with the times, more time with the Moors. We did a podcast yesterday, but I don't really know what happened to that.
We want to thank you all for chiming in. This is the father and son connection. If you have a son or a son have a father and you want to get some advice, either you're going to agree with us or you're not going to agree with us. But one way the answer, one way or the other, you'll get your answer. Whether you agree with us or not.
Kind of sad that we lost that last video because it flowed so naturally. It was like a nice first episode joint, but now this feels like a second episode. I don't remember. I don't know.
A lot of differences that we have. Me being a Gen Z. I mean, him being a Gen Z, me being a Gen X. Gen X and Gen Z, there's been a lot of differences. I'm in my 50s. He's in his 20s. We got a big age gap. So a lot of the things I try to tell this young fella what he need to do, he don't want to listen. He want to say that, it's old time. Which is funny because the same thing I used to do with my parents. They tell me, that was back in the day. A lot of people always say, wait till you have kids, you're going to know what you put me through. And you be like, yeah, whatever. But I do now know he's put me through some of the things I put my parents through on a different level, though. It's not the same.
I mean, the trick is really just to help them find out what they want to do.
Yeah, see, talking about rearing children, the way I was reared in the 80s, it was more or less like my parents made me go to church, made me go to school and play sports, made me do different things. And if I liked it, I liked it. If I didn't, it didn't matter. She still made me do it. And at the time, I didn't appreciate it. I appreciate it now. I wish they would have pushed a little bit harder. But when my son came along, I said, I'm not going to do that to him. Whatever he want to do, I'm going to back him, and that's what we're going to do. And so that's what I try to do, which was also not 100% right. Everything you do in life, there's a sweet spot. I got beatings when I was growing up, so I was thinking beating him would help the same thing. But I actually think beating did help him.
Yeah, I definitely think it helped because you're the only one who ever hit me, so I wouldn't have known what it felt like to actually get hit. One for you.
Hey, statute limitations. You can't come in and arrest me now. And he turned out all right. But to tell you the truth, there's only one time my son stood up to me. I still remember we was in England. He was walking around and I said, hey boy, you need to get ready to go to bed. And he's like, no. I said, what you say? No. I said, boy, you better take you behind up the stairs. I'm going to beat you. No. I said, get over here, Brandon. He's like, hee. And I looked at my wife at the time. I was like, boy. And she's like, leave him alone, Gary. Leave him. I said, no. And I went and I grabbed that dude, man. Pow, pow, pow. Get up those stairs. And he went up the stairs. He turned around. Hee. And I started chasing him. He ran up the stairs and I grabbed him. And bada-bow, bada-bow. Got some more of that buttocks. And that was the only time he actually, went back at me when I told him to do something. Now he just ignores me. Now he just hears me out, okay, and then do whatever he want to do. But that was the one time. I never really, when it came to schools, he wouldn't act up at school. And because the way I acted at school, I would always think, when I went to school, to check up on him, I said, hey, it's a teacher conference, and what's going on? They was like, oh, we didn't send you one because, Brandon's just the perfect student. And I'm like, you ain't got to lie to me. Give me a reason to beat him. Now, what is he doing wrong? But they kept saying, oh, no, he do good grades and he's nice to everybody. And I didn't want to believe it because the way I was. So I was like, ain't no way that boy, he had to do something wrong because his room's a mess. He come home and hide food underneath the mattress and he eat a bag of potato chips or something and put the bag underneath the mattress. And the boy was terrible. But he'd go to school and be an angel. You remember doing that?
I remember hiding food.
Loganville.
Yeah, I don't remember hiding food. I just remember eating a lot of food. I don't know. I don't really remember eating really in Loganville. I feel like the food situation wasn't very up to standard. I really don't remember Eden
Well,
much. Like Eden wasn't part of my childhood very much. I don't think. Was it really?
it wasn't really because I've been going through a lot since I got out the military. I went through a whole bunch of stuff and drugged the kids along with it. But so we didn't really get a solid ground per se.
I don't think I had my first steak till high school.
Later. Yeah.
I don't think I even thought about steak. Like I think I thought it was like a different type of like shredded beef.
Oh yeah, times is rough. Between the three biological children I have, we spent the most time together because splitting of the first marriage, and at the time I would say, my son coming with me. You can have the girls not pay child support, but my boy coming with me. And at that time, the way I was thinking, this is when Maury Povich was really getting going good, and if he went with his mother out west, it'd be him, his sisters, his mother, and his aunts. So I didn't want him to be around all those females with no male present. So the way I used to think back then was, man, if you hang around them girls, you're gonna end up being gay. And I know it's a different action or reaction today about all that, but back then, I was like, nah, man, if you gonna be gay, you gonna earn the right. But I'm gonna try to teach you all the man stuff I know and put you in the center of all manhood. And if you choose to go that route, then that'll be your choice. At least I can say I've done everything I could. I just didn't want to end up on a Maury Povich show and he's like, my daddy made me like this. He made me go live with my mama and my sisters, and they taught me I didn't want to end up on a show like that. So that was the main reason why I really wanted you to come live with me versus stay with your mama. He would go over, visit them during the summer, and
it's funny. Over there, I do remember, because over there was about food. I remember, man, we used to get burritos, nachos, pizzas. It wasn't really much cooking or grocery shopping there.
Yeah, he would come back 20 pounds heavier. Every year he would come back.
We'd go to Walmart, but we'd buy the fast chicken, bucket of like fried chicken instead of just making it ourselves. So we I never really thought about cooking at all growing up.
Not at all.
Real cooking.
And see, and that's one thing that messes up a lot of folks, like segueing into cooking and passing on generational knowledge. Everybody's stuck on generational wealth now, but the knowledge part is what's falling behind, because my father, I could call, he's like 80 something now, and I could still call him and say, Dad, can you do so and so? Oh, I'll come over there, and he'll bring his toolbox, he'll fix the plumbing. Hey man, you got a hole in the wall, you patch it on up. Oh man, let me I'm gonna split this big room in half, and I'll make a separate room and put the electrical sockets here. He'll do all that stuff. Me, I don't know any of that stuff, so I gotta pay somebody to do it. And because I didn't learn it from him, I couldn't pass it on to him, so he, in essence, will have to pay somebody to do it, or he have to learn how to do it himself through YouTube and all that stuff, Googling and all that. So it kind of got messed up. The baby boomers were pretty much the last of the hands-on, being able to do all the good stuff they need to do.
I feel like it's kind of easier these days, because they have so many projects where you can safely play with electricity now. I feel like you could easily
play with electricity.
Yeah, because they have little board like books where you just move the little magnets and it'll show you if your thing is correct or not. And none of the electricity will actually be going to you.
See, they didn't have that back in the day because, that's another thing that we always talk about. What messed up the Gen X era was the microwave. That tore down all Big Mama's cooking teachings. Because once the microwave came, we was like, we don't need to learn how to cook because we get all this microwavable food. I remember making popcorn on the stove. It used to take a while to make popcorn on the stove because we had to put the grease on there. And then we had to wait for that to start bubbling. And then we pour the kernels in there. And then put the top on there. And then we had to wait for a while. And then shake it a little bit. And then start popping. Oil all over the place. And then it came with the Jiffy Pop. Where you put that, on the fire. And it was like tinfoil. And as it bubbled up. And then you open the tinfoil and you had popcorn.
It was kind of like a double whammy because like at the same time
Whammy.
they're they're changing the food pyramid. So like they weren't saying that sugar was bad for you. So like they weren't really telling you like what nutrition meant for you. Like they were selling an agenda like sugar made money, wheat made money. So that's what they wanted people to buy and eat. And that combined with microwave, just a lot of easy cooking instead of like actual looking for ingredients and nourishing your body with various things.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, you go out there and do a poll for yourself. Ask 10 women about cooking. Different ages, not all the same age group because you probably get the same answer, but you do the different ages, go from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Ask 2 each. And I guarantee you, more than 70% of them will say that they can't cook. Or they don't like to cook, or they never were taught how to cook. Because microwave killed everything. I mean, we had the TV dinners. That used to be the microwave dinners back in the day. The TV dinners frozen, thrown in the oven. When the microwave came out, ooh, we got that Tupperware, man. Just throw the stuff in there, throw the microwave a couple minutes. And going back to the popcorn, now you just get the popcorn, throw it in, hit it, let it pop, 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 pop. And then when it stops slowing down, you take it out.
See, you know what's interesting to me? Like, the freedom of, like, because, like, well, really after I broke up, or me and my girlfriend broke up, and I was just like, I was just like free to do what I want, and like,
Kendall, can you give me some tissue, man? I think you need some tissue. No.
Food, like, fast food got boring to me because, like, I could just eat it whenever, and I was like, okay. And, like, fast food is what ruined TV dinners for me because, like, it's like the next step up is, like, you know, TV dinner, but actually cooked. Like, fresh, or fresher, less preservative, slightly less preservatives, I guess. But, and then, like, after a while, I was like, this is just expensive. So, like, I just stopped eating the fast food, and I was like, wait, I just cook the same thing at home and change the taste whenever I want. Like, it's different because, like now fast food is, like, different because, like, if I want, like, a specific taste, I'll go out. But, like, most of the time, I'm just, like, I need nutrients. So I'll just, like, cook up some chicken or something.
So right now we're talking about food and upbringing. And as you can see, all the knowledge he got from all that wasn't from me. It's all self-knowledge. So there's things that you think is a priority as you rearing your children. You know, I say rearing because people say raise, and I say, no, you raise corn, but you rear children. So rearing your children, especially a young man, and we'll get into this in a different podcast, but I wanted him to be able to fend for himself because of smartness. You know, in the beginning, we moved here from England, and me and the mama was splitting at the time, and the kids had to take a test to see if they were what grade they would be in America. Because, you know, over there they spell tire Tyre, and we spell it Tire here. So a lot of differences, you know. You know, they always say garage. Go out to the garage. Oh, it's in the boot. You know, we'll say, hey man, it's in the garage, man. Look in the trunk of the car. Same thing. So
he's making fun of me for saying rubbish instead of garbage.
Yeah, rubbish. So so when we had them tested, my oldest daughter, because she seemed to be real smart to me, all parents always say that, oh, she's so smart. She walked at this age. Yeah, 1,000 other kids did the same thing. Your kid ain't special. And I always took that process. When my kids were growing up, they did things, it didn't never really impress me because I knew that there was other kids in the world that were doing the same thing. So why would I gloat and be like, hey, my kid, he's talking at so many months. Okay, great. Is he cussing you out now or what? But and most of those kids be doing it. The ones that talk early, they end up saying things they shouldn't be saying. But yeah, they tested my daughter. I said, yeah, you go ahead and let her go in the rightful grade. They tested him. And this dude, I don't know if you remember I tried to teach you how to read. And I said, red. He'll say, red. I said, okay. R. And he'll repeat it. R, E, E, D, D. Red, red. All right, now spell red. And he'll be like, I'm like, boy, I just said it. R, and he'll repeat it, and we did it, and I said, say red, R-E-D, R-E-D, R-E-D. Just kept doing it over and over. Okay, now spell red. I said, y'all put him back. That boy. And my mom said, man, this dummy, what's wrong with this boy? And I said, just put him back. He ain't gonna succeed, man. And I don't want to put him up there and he failed. So let him start. So they held him back a grade. They put him a lower grade than he was in England. Couldn't. So when I started going to school with him, first, second, third grade, I'm like, I know what kind of son I got. Ain't no way he's passing these things. The boy could have spelled red a couple months ago. But that was just me. I'm not at that time I wasn't an educator of my patience was real thin. Real thin. My patience was real thin. He ended up growing up being way smarter than all the other kids in the family. which shocked me, but it also taught me that no man knows everything, man. No matter what you think you know, somebody else knows something different. There's always more than one way to accomplish something. I was so stuck in the way I was rearing my kid this way. He was different. To the fact that when if you have your son and you trying to get through to him to get his lessons in school, when we were single dad and it was just me and him, and he'll be playing his music or watching TV or whatever he's doing, I'm like, dude, where's your homework? Said, oh, I ain't got no homework. What kind of school you go to, man? You ain't got no homework. But then when I checked on it, he was actually, a lot of stuff goes on in school where there actually is time for students to do their work at school, but they choose to play around with all the other kids, and they come home, they got to do their homework. He would just do his homework. So when he came home, he never had homework. And then he was like, all A student. I'm like, well, however you cheating, just don't get caught. I honestly thought that. I honestly thought that, hey, if you cheating, man, just don't get caught. Just get on through this. That's another fallacy. Watch out for.
I think it was called the Beta Club. When I was I think it was 5th grade. Had to be 4th grade. No,
that's how you used to spell red, just like that.
Like 5th grade, I was in Las Vegas. I had to have been. I think we did a little bit of school.
Yeah.
Before going to Vegas, maybe it was 5th grade when I was in our first advanced class.
And then, then I started feeling proud. I fell in a trap where it was like, oh, your kids are exceptional.
It was 5th grade. I remember my friend Allie was in there. I remember she fell through a chair.
She was that big?
She was the first big chick I ever met.
But yeah, so you funny, man.
Not fat. She was like 6 feet.
Oh, okay. I thought this. But yeah, so that was a crazy thing, man. With your son, you have to make sure. I used to tell him, like my parents would tell me, sit at that table, do your homework, and they'll be there for a long time doing it. And the thing is, I realized that people learn differently. Different types of styles of learning. I learned that later on in life. Too bad all the kids that went through school, but at the time I used to get mad at them. But then I finally realized, hey man, go ahead and do whatever you're gonna do, man. As long as you keep getting good grades. So I had to pull it off him. And so he would be up late at night, and I'd be like, I won't get no reports of you falling asleep in school, because I'm going to beat you. And one thing with him, rearing him, I took and this is one thing that was funny, because Will Smith used to do this back in the day, and a lot of people got on him. Since it's just me and my son here, what I would do with him is, growing up, I used to listen to Eminem, DMX and all that stuff. Matter of fact, he was born right when DMX started popping off, and where my dogs at, and Eminem and everything. Which is funny because to this day he loved listening to Eminem. The dude was rapping before he was born, but at the time I don't curse, so I would listen to a lot of rap songs, hip hop, with curse words in it. But I would do sound effects, or I'd make up different words for the curse words and stuff, and I just keep going. But I noticed that some of my other friends would hide, wouldn't let their kids listen to certain music and stuff like that. It didn't even matter. They were still cursing and everything when they were around. So I would tell him, I said, well, I'm not going to deprive you of your love of music, but I don't want to hear you use those words, because you don't need to use those words. If I hear you using those words, then I got to stop, man, because I don't use it, you don't need to use it. And to this day, I don't think I ever heard him, not in my presence. I mean, 26 now. 25 now.
I still do it. So, like, I do cuss. Not like
Not in my presence.
languagely, but like when I'm singing words, like
You said languagely.
yeah, like when I'm just talking, like
Oh yeah.
but like
Just to be saying.
yeah, but when music, like it's too much work to like try to filter myself. I'd rather just learn the music and then it be that.
But as he was growing, he never would do it in my presence. So that's why I would allow him to keep listening to it. And I say, hey man, when you get out on your own, it's on you, man. You know, you can't save everybody. You know, I could do my best. That's all I can do. So my advice to fathers out there when you're talking to your son, you got to see what kind of son you have, and you got to cater or tailor your teaching and upbringing around how he is, because it's a different generation now.
And you gotta really make them find out what they want to do. Like when I was growing up, I always thought I wanted to be a football player, because like I was good at football. I was always better than everybody. So like I was like, okay, I can make the NFL. That will be how I make my money, and then I'll quit the NFL and do what I really want to do. Like I had like I think at some point I wanted to be like an astronomer. At one point I wanted to be a video game designer, various different things. But like NFL was never really like the end goal. So like my dad would always like make me want to like, or he'd always like tell me to work out, and I wouldn't want to. Like I want to play video games or something, and like he never realized that as I was growing up. So like he would just like keep doing football, and I never realized I didn't actually want to play football. That's what I thought I wanted to do, just because like I was good at it, and like I thought I could make money from it. Like, and I guess I technically did want to do it at the time, but like it was not what I ultimately wanted to do. It was just like a means to an end. Like I was something I was good at, like circumstantially. Like it could have been dice rolling.
Dice rolling. That's off the wall. But he bring up a good point, because him playing football, I was like, man, he's playing so good. I was like, man, let's push the football. When he was younger, but where I was saying another mistake I made as he was growing up, I didn't really push him to do other things. I wanted to hone in on that craft. And I should have picked up on it, because this is like the only kid I know that during the highlight of his playing football, summer leagues, travel ball, and different, he played in Atlanta, and then played in Alabama, and did you didn't play in Vegas? Were you out there on the play out there? So he was playing different places. So I was like, okay, yeah, you're doing well, you're doing good. So every new school he would go to, they didn't know how he was, and I said, don't tell nobody. They would ask him, do you play football? And he was like, yeah, I play a little bit. I said, let your talent show. So then he started playing. And then they'll bump him up. But I didn't notice that he would never want to watch football. He liked the New England Patriots just because they always beat up the Buffalo Bills, and because I'm a Bills fan. He just liked them getting beat up all the time. But he would never sit and watch the game with me. He would never play Madden. He would never play none. I'm playing them. I'm a grown man. I'm playing them. He would never play any of those games. But he was a beast on the field. And I used to tell him, man, watch the videos of some of the defensive end players and so and so and so. Never wanted to do it. And I didn't pick up it at the time. So as he got in high school, I realized that he was really smart and the different things he wanted to do. So then at that point, I started saying, okay, let me start pulling back on football and try to see if he want to do some other things. But I didn't press him on it. I just let him do his own thing. But the only thing, you remember what I used to always tell you before you played, when you went out there? See, the boy don't even listen. One of the last things I would always say to him before he go out there to play, I like, hey son, protect your head. Because you could break an arm, leg, and all that stuff, but you only got one head and one brain. So whatever you do, man, protect your head while you're out there, because you're gonna have life after this. Whether you make it to the NFL or not, I mean, you be in your 40s, you ain't playing no more, you gotta do something else. You in your 30s, you ain't playing no more, you gotta do something else. So I always would say, protect your head. I try to do the whole thing. I try to instill when he first started playing football, I don't know if you remember, I tried to instill a theme song for him that always we would always listen to before he went out there. What a dummy! Wow, I was a dummy boy. You remember the song?
Now I know only I can stop the rain.
It's not that we want to do what we do, is what we know.
So to me, nothing but being true. Bro.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to always play that DMX, but
I still get the chills if I think about that. Like if I like put myself in the like the element of like I'm about to like play some football and I can play that and listen up, Chicago. That's different.
Shot, yeah, that was it. Next stop, Chicago. Yeah, see, this is when Can Do supposed to play the song so you know, but
he has a Mac and he's not skilled in Mac.
No,
Ain't no way.
But
you get
yeah,
your Stream Deck too. That'd be quick too.
I had fun rearing them up, man, and we've been through a lot. We got a lot we're gonna offer you all on upbringing together. He taught me things.
You know, I think if you would have let me get into wrestling,
Back
in Alexander Crossing, back when cause I remember my friend.
Is it about Logan?
Alex Standridge, yeah. What did I say, Alexander Crossing?
Yeah, he said Alexander Crossing. You talking about Loganville? What was it, Loganville?
Yeah, we were in Loganville. I remember my friend Alex Standridge, he used to wrestle, and that's when I wanted to wrestle. Like, I dug WWE, he liked WWE, but like, I don't know why he didn't let me wrestle.
Well, the reason why I didn't is because, you know, I was into wrestling back then too. We used to watch WWE, and I used to always tell him, boy, because he has a little sister, I said, don't be practicing these moves on your sisters and cousins, nobody else. And at this time, he has a lot of cousins at the time. We are about 10 of them together. And he was always the heaviest of all of them. So he has like these twin cousins that was real skinny and small. And they used to always flip around the house, jump on the couch and everything. Just the eye nuisance of them doing it. Hey, quit jumping on the couch. But because he's around the same age, he would do the same thing. But he's much bigger. So they'll flip on the couch, and then here he come, boom, 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 boom. Boy, what you doing? Get off that couch! Jumping on his aunt and uncle couch and stuff like that. So when wrestling came, he's like, "Ooh, we like wrestling." We sit down and watch the wrestling. You know, finally, The Rock has come back to Huntsville. But anyway, I don't think he ever did. But I came in one day, and the sister came in there crying to me. And his older sister said, "Yeah, Brandon, you know, was wrestling with Gianna and slammed her down or whatever they said, slammed her something." And I got so mad I wasn't there. And I was like, "Come in, boy, what's wrong with you?" Now the house we was in, it was on a slab, and the carpet was real thin, so it was, you know, that cement up underneath it. The carpet wasn't real plush, and they in there wrestling, and she crying. And I was so mad at him. I said, "I told you, boy." So I went in there. I said, "Now I'm gonna show you how I feel." So I grabbed him, put him in a power bomb, and I pulled him up. And I underestimated how heavy he was. And when I pulled him up and he was coming down, he was coming right for his head. And in my mind, in split seconds, like, I'm about to go to prison. I'm about to snap my son's neck, and he about to go to prison. So when he was coming down, I had to try to put my foot to break the fall so he wouldn't really hit his head on the ground. And I was like, and I looked at him for a second, and then he started crying, but I knew it was hurt. I was like, "Now, next time, boy, I'm going to beat you good. Now get up to your pants." But he left, and oh, man. I now know why people say you should never discipline your children when you're angry. Because depending on what kind of person you are, it could turn out to be bad. Because I was always skinny and teased when I was growing up, so I learned martial arts and pressure points and all this stuff. And then I started gaining weight and started getting bigger, so I had the martial arts and the power and stuff. And then I was never a bully, but I was more or less, because I didn't curse. A lot of people say, when I get mad, I curse. You know, and I was like, well, when I get mad, I like to hit people. I said, so do you want us to get mad together and see what happened? And why you gotta hit people? Because that's what I do when I get mad. So that's why I try to get angry. So you said you curse, I like to hit. I don't forget because that's just fight. And that was always like that. So when I got married, it carried on to that. Which why I ain't married no more. No, just
What's that from? Is that Justin? Remember where he's drawing his face?
Oh yeah, just that. Yeah, I remember that.
Cut that in the editing.
Yeah, go ahead and play that. Can I do that tonight?
And that's why I don't have any kids.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you remember that? Yeah. Back in my pill popping days, that kind of stopped me from like really spanking the kids because I got to the point where I was didn't know how to tailor it. I had to hit them, but I remember your older sister Brianna, who was in Hawaii, and this is all the stuff sticks in my mind. So when Brandon's not learning, couldn't spell red and do all that stuff, I'm thinking it was Febreze that damaged my son's head. Febreze damaged my son's head. And you said, how come Febreze? Well, when Febreze first came out and everybody was spraying on everything that smelled good, he was probably about I can't remember how old he was, but he was in a little swing where you crank it up and push it and it just keep rocking him. He was in that. And he was a happy baby growing up. He never cried, never hollered, nothing like that when he wasn't talking. Like I said, that's why I was shocked. He was like, "Eee!" That's why I was shocked he did that, because he never would do anything like that. He was always easygoing, mellow, laid back. So when Brianna came along, she was the older sister, a few years older than him. I hear her, I said, that's a weird noise. And I heard this, and I said, what? So I asked my wife, I said, you hear that? She said, yeah, what is that? I sound like crying or something. Because we never heard Brandon cry before. I came in there, Brandon crying in the chair. And I looked, and my daughter got a bottle of Febreze, and as he's swinging back, when he comes, he's like, and she sprayed in his face, and he's like, so that's why we couldn't understand what's going on. And I grabbed her by the back of the shoulder, get in here, and I threw her across the room. She bounced on the bed and hit the wall, pow, and then fell between the wall and the bed, and I was like, uh-oh. And I said, this is the second time. The first time I did it with Brandon when we was in England. Now we're in Hawaii and I did it to her. And I'm like, oh, Lord, I'm about to kill these kids.
It's reverse.
Oh, yeah, we didn't get there yet. Man, see, I need help, y'all. I need help. I've been beating these kids for a long time. So after I threw her against the wall, you right there, threw her up against the wall. And she fell. And I was like, oh, shoot, man. I just see the life. Just gone, man. They about to lock me up. And then I slowly walked around the corner. And then she stood up. I'm sorry, Daddy. And I was like, you all right? She said, yeah. Get in the bed. I want you to get back out this bed. And then I left and I went to my wife. And then we got to arguing. You ain't had to do all that. Now me and her in there tussling and stuff. Another story for another podcast. When it comes to discipline, make sure you choose the proper way to discipline your children. Sometimes you don't have to put a hands on them. You really don't have to put a hands on them nowadays, but you have to get them to understand what they're doing is wrong. One of the things I like to say is the best way to shut somebody up and get them to listen to you is to listen to them first. Because either whatever they're doing is going to turn out bad, and then they can't say nothing because you did it your way, it didn't work. Now you gotta listen to me. Or they do what they're gonna do and it works out. Bottom line is you wanted it to work out, so it worked out. So the best way to shut somebody up is to listen to them.
I was on that because I was thinking about how we started it with. I asked you why you didn't let me wrestle, but I don't remember why I asked you. I think I was saying
the reason why.
No, you told me. It's because I was beat up Gianna. But then I was thinking about why I asked that.
Yeah, well, really, along with that, you said that I didn't have anybody to show me, because when he started going to school and he started showing interest in football and stuff, I went back to school, back to college, and I got a degree in managing, scouts and stuff like that. Business degree, marketing, entertainers and sports people. Cause I said, yeah, I'm gonna get this degree, get everything together, so when he's ready to go over, we can just go together. Didn't work out that way, but no one really told me about the effects of wrestling. Had I known, I would have had you wrestle when you was a whole lot younger. But I think that would have threw you off your course, because
probably would.
You'd have been
not
really small. I mean, you would have never got to be 220. You would have always stayed lower, which you wouldn't have been a defensive end. You would have been a different football. You know what I'm saying? You probably would have been a running back.
I feel like I'm just destined to be big. Cause like,
oh yeah, you destined to be big.
like even when I work out, like even though like my gain and lose weight, I still stay big. Like I never really shrank.
Yeah. But I remember when you in 8th grade when you shot up the biggest I've ever seen. You came back and said, "Man, we got 2 weeks to get you in shape for spring training for football to start back up." Cause you go back to school, they gonna be like, "Man, what happened to you?" So we used to always jog around the
That's your
neighborhood.
fault for making me move to Huntsville. Or no, yeah.
No, that's when you went to Vegas and when y'all was eating all that
I
food
know.
and stuff.
But I was heartbroken.
See how they try to blame it? You was heartbroken.
I had my first love. You made me never see her again. All because you wanted to get married.
It's all about me. Nah, yeah. That's funny though because we two opposite folks, and you'll be able to see as these podcasts go on that the differences we have. That was the rearing. That's how I chose to rear you. We spoke only from the elementary and middle school aspect of it. How did you? I mean, during those years that you can remember, what do you feel was my weak points and strong points in parenting?
Honestly, you just made me do more stuff. Because, like,
You said you wish I would have made you do more stuff.
yeah, because, like, really, the world's really about just, like, doing stuff. It's, like, seeing what's interesting. Because, like, so once you find that thing you really want to just, like, really go into and, like, find the depths of it, you're set. Because, like, you're going to find a way to make money from it. Like, those are, like, the geniuses of the world. Like, Kobe, he found basketball, he was all in. Like, any genius you could think of, they might not, that might not have been their first thing, but they found it and they wanted to see how far they'd go with it. And they're called geniuses, but they just like what they do and kept doing it. I just wish you didn't let me focus on what stuff so much, like video games and football. Like, I very much would have liked to do some martial arts. I would say gymnastics, but I don't think younger me could have handled that. I mean, I guess they would have trained me too, but
Yeah.
wish I just branched out more when I was younger. 'Cause I never realized how narrow my view of the world was until I got to college. Cause really until I came back from college. Like it kind of just was growing, but when I came back from when I graduated college, or really when I came back to Huntsville, and thought about how I lived here for 5 years and don't know anything about the city, don't know any restaurants, don't know, I knew McDonald's, Wendy's, and I knew KFC and Tenders, which where I work. But other than that, I knew nothing about Huntsville. I didn't drive anywhere, didn't go anywhere with my friends. I just played football, came back, played video games, and that was my life. But hey, you're straight. I feel like I had a very stable mental
Well,
state growing up.
Well, we got you to adulthood. Might not like the path you took, but yeah. Well, looking back when hear you say that does talking about speaking to people when you need help, counseling. One thing I said, it helped me to understand what I was doing wrong, but it also hurt me when I was trying to do things with the children because, like you said about not pushing you to do things, because I was the kind of 14-year-old, early on sexually active, 13, 14 years old, sexually active, sneaking out the house at night. My father had a customized van back in the day, with the little pull-out bed in and everything, and I used to unlock the door and then put his keys back, and at night girls would come over and then I'll sneak outside, it would be in there and I'll just leave it closed, just it'll click, not shut all the way. And I gotta ask my father if he knew I was doing it. But that was the thing I used to do with girls. Yeah, sneak out, man. 8, 9 o'clock at night, we meet over here, da 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 da. So we always would do that. So I was thinking he was gonna do the same thing I did, but he was never like that. So I was
What I think it was?
What's that?
The fact that you made me move around too much and
you didn't get enough. Plant your
like
feet.
yeah, to like I didn't get relationships. Like I didn't get a chance to like build a relationship where I could like learn how to talk to girls to get in like situations like that.
Okay. Well, then I did good then. No, no. Well,
Keep
see,
moving.
and that's what I'm saying. That's what I messed up by me thinking, moving around different places. Hey, man, you seeing this? You seeing that? But at that time, that's not what he needed. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I needed to get through what I was going through at the time, which kind of hindered him. And that's why I said when it came to when I got married the second time, um, his favorite stepmom. When I got married the second time, and he was. I used to always take Brandon places, all the kids, and they wouldn't. They would come in the room, but they were like just melting to the wall. They wouldn't speak to nobody, and it's because their parents was always loud. Well, we argued so much where the kids didn't want to be involved in all that stuff. So when they came in crowds, they just like blended, don't say anything. And when I was meeting other family, my second wife, Brandon come in and he wouldn't speak. So they'd be like, "Hey, what's your name, little buddy?" I said, "Oh, that's Brandon." "Oh, Brandon, how you doing, man?" And he'll just be sitting there. It's like, "Oh, is he okay?" And you know how people, if they're sad, if you keep saying, "Are you okay?" "Oh, is that?" It just makes them cry. So they kept doing it to Brandon, and for some reason that would embarrass me. And I'd be like, "Boy, quit crying." And I'm like, "Go in there and say hi to him." And I used to force him to do things, and he just hated it. And he'd be like, "Can I go over to Marine House? Boy, you go be here." And I was always rough like that. When some other stuff happened, I ended up going through counseling and stuff through the VA and talking to people. And Brandon came in there a couple of times, talking that thing, and then I said, "Hey, Doc, so what you think, man? You just met my son. Something wrong with him, ain't it? Man, he don't jump out of that." And I'm saying all this stuff, and so she said, "Well, let me tell you like this." She said, "There's nothing wrong with your son. He's very observant. He likes to see what's going on around him before he do anything. And if he can't get it all in, he'll just stay where he's at." He said, "But watching your interaction with him, it's more so what you're doing." He said, "Now, would you rather have a son that's sneaking out the windows and bringing girls into the stuff that you did? Would you rather have that kind of son, or this son where he doesn't get in no trouble or do anything and he's smart and stuff like that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess I like the one I want. It's more fun to have the other one, but that's not good for him. She's like, "Yeah." She says, "So you forcing him to speak to people, it's not his position to actually speak to anybody." He said, "Really, greeting is just salutations is just a nice way to greet folks, but you really ain't got to speak to nobody. If you ain't got nothing to say, why would you say anything?" The whole adage is if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say nothing at
You
all.
kind of taught me why I should speak to people, not just like. Well, I guess like you kind of did, but like
That was later
like
on though.
like specific reasons why is like the information you want. Cause like strangers, they mean nothing to you. So like if you're just at a party, like just
Yeah.
let them go about their business. Like I'm a kid.
So after she told me that, then I started not saying nothing to him. But I said, "But I tell you this much." But even when I stopped forcing him to come in the room speaking to people will still keep talking to him. "Something wrong with your son?" Da, 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 da. And I'm like, "Ain't nothing wrong with him. He just don't want to talk to you." But then I told him, I say, "If you want people not to bother you, as soon as you come to a place, hey, how y'all doing? Hey, hello." They'll say hi and they'll leave you alone. The first person to speak is the one that never gets the crowd to speak to him much, unless they just keep talking and talking. It's the last person that don't say anything and everybody looking. "I don't spoke to everybody, but I ain't speak to you. Hey, what's going on, man? Everything good?" Now they want to get in your business. So that's the one thing I did tell them. If you do want to speak first. Just say hi, walk away, and people generally leave you alone after that. But I didn't pick up on that before because I used to force all the kids get in there, speak. So now when I see kids come in, they don't speak. It don't bother me at all, but it bothers some other adults. "Man, you see how that kid came in and ain't speak to nobody." But then I'm like, okay, now what if she came and started speaking and then didn't walk away? Then you got to tell them, "Hey, man, it's three grown people here talking. Why don't you move away?" You know what I'm saying? So it's best just to let them be who they are. I didn't pick that up until I went to counseling. Counseling did help out a lot. but you gotta use it. It's just like anything that you enjoy, only in moderations. Because I truly feel that a person, like we're in a blended family here and everything, and there's blended families all over the world. But the things we went through may not be the story of the other blended families. So we can't say he can't go to the son to a blended family like, hey man, you gotta do this, because the circumstances are totally different. They're not gonna be aligned the way ours is aligned. If it is, then we can say. And even in the blended family, a lot of things that I did then didn't know was wrong until after the fact. You just have to keep breathing and get through it. So that's my advice. When you rearing your son, fellas, you got to see what kind of son you got, and you want to give him the opportunity to make mistakes and try everything out there that there is to try, and just be there for him, guide him along the way, and as he mature and make better decisions, your relationship will be better. No matter what you say, they always gonna watch and see what you do. And if you're doing some shenanigans, hey man, if you smoke weed, ain't no need for you to try to hide it from your kid because he know you smoke weed. And what you telling him is, okay, if I do stuff like that, I gotta hide it from people. And that's not the thing. You're an adult. One thing I told him when I drink when he was underage and I would drink in front of him and everything, I wouldn't tell him to make me a drink, but I'm drinking. We could play video games together, and I'm drinking while he playing. And he might say, "What you drinking, Dad?" Some Hennessy, Hennessy and Coke. Oh, what that tastes like? Well, when you get 21, you can taste and see what it tastes like. But that's when parental guidance come in. I'm not gonna have you drink with me and you underage. When you become age, if you want to taste it, then we can go through the whole. Which that's what we did.
Because you never acted drunk, or at least I never like noticed you acting drunk. Like you just drinking that. Well, I guess when I was really young, you would get drunk, but I don't remember that. By the time my memory stuck around, you would just drink till you're chill. So like, I didn't realize it was like a thing I was missing out on. So like, I didn't even like. I don't think I ever even like attempted to like look for your alcohol or like try to drink it or taste it.
Unlike your cousin. Which leads me to the next question. I didn't start smoking cigars until, probably about a year ago. I say 2020 is when I started smoking a cigar. These fellas, they turned me on to it, and I said, it took a while for me to find the ones that I like to enjoy. And it's not like I smoke them all the time. They're just, here and there. But I never vape. So I'm wondering, son, where'd you pick up the vaping from? You never, I know your mom.
Well, really what happened was when I graduated high school and didn't have any football prospects, I was like, well, the reason I ain't been partying or doing anything is because like I had a goal, like I was gonna play football, but like, and I was like, well, might as well just try stuff. So I think it was the week after we graduated. That was the first time I drank alcohol, and then I can't remember if we smoked that same week too. I don't think we started vaping until the summer after that. I don't think vaping was a thing when I graduated high school.
No, it wasn't.
Cause I had like cigarettes, like not he didn't smoke, but like every once in a while he would be with like people and they'd offer him a cigarette, and he was like, okay. He knew what like a cigarette was, so like when vaping came around, he was already on it. I remember I was like I didn't care for it, but then like when I started coming over and we would drink and hit the nicotine, I was like, oh. And like it just became like an easy thing. It's not like a thing I want to do. It's just like a thing I can do, so I'm doing it.
Well, let me speak on this. When it comes to alcohol, fellas, and I know this for personally and dealing with other folks with it. You have funny drunks, chill drunks, mean drunks, angry drunks. You have different types of drunkenness. What that really entails is whatever relationship that they're in. Like right now, I love my wife now. I enjoy life now. So no matter how drunk I may get, which has been a long time because I don't drink like that anymore, but if it happens I do get drunk like that, I'm always just mellow and happy. But when I was married to his wife, his mama, when we was married and I would get drunk, and we were young because we was like 22, 21 when we got married. I didn't start drinking till I was like 25 maybe, 24, 25 maybe. So when I got drunk, I would always be angry, wanted to tear up stuff and everything. And because that was my experience at the time, I just thought that's what drunks do when they get mad. So people were like, man, you a mean drunk. I just thought that was just a level of either you're a mild drunk, medium drunk, heavy drunk. That's what I was thinking it was. So every time I would get drunk, I was like that. And then even with my second marriage, I would drink and I was an angry drunk. But I noticed when I got to the third marriage, in between marriages and the third marriage, if I were to get drunk, I always was fine. I was just comfortable, fine. Hey, how you doing, man? Yeah, everything was lovely. And then it dawned on me, it's those relationships. Because people say, it all come out. People say when you get drunk, your real feelings come out, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Those relationships, if you're in a bad relationship, you should not be drinking because it's just going to aspirate it. It's just going to just blow up on you. It's going to come up on you. You don't want that. It'll choke you down. But when you're feeling good, and I don't know if it is with getting high, it's the same thing, but I could just, test the drinking. When I'm in a good mood, it tastes better and I enjoy it more. If I'm angry, mad, trying to drink, man, sometimes when you're mad, you just drink, you don't ever get drunk because that emotion is beating down the toxicity of the alcohol. It can't even catch up. Your anger is keeping it suppressed. That's why people are like, man, he drank all night long and he was just mad. He wasn't drunk at all. And then the blackouts start kicking in. That's another podcast. So, fellas, tell your sons out there if they do drink, make sure it's in moderation. I'm not down with the vaping and stuff just because you don't know really what's in most of that stuff nowadays. Like you said, if you can know what you're doing, then it's cool. But if you don't know,
that's why I stick with the same people. Just so if something happened to me, y'all come get them. Or if there's a lawsuit, I can hop in.
Because my main thing with that is I equate that to cigarettes back in the 40s and 50s when it first came out.
And they had the labels on them.
Yeah, everybody thought it was cool. But the only reason why they didn't want you smoking is because it was clouding up the place and people couldn't breathe. But it's like, don't be smoking in school. Kids be outside smoking, high schoolers, and they used to smoke on airplanes. Believe it or not, youngins. They had ashtrays in between things. They smoked down airplanes, trains, buses. Smoke was everywhere. Back in the 70s, all the cops in New York used to always go to Dunkin' Donuts. That was like the only donut chain at the time. Except for like mom and pop stores, but donuts was the main chain all around the world, or United States.
Dunkin' tomorrow.
All the cops were in there so much that all they donuts smell like taste like cigarettes. Mm-hmm. So for the 70s and 80s and early 90s, whenever I would eat, I used to love white cream filled donuts and jelly donuts. I would eat them back then. It always had a smoky taste to it because my dad used to always go get them and bring them home, and it just had that taste. Until they banned smoking inside, and I had it done. I said, man, these donuts taste different. And that's when it dawned on me that it had the cigarettes smoke inside. That's why it tastes different. That's when it dawned on me. I never drank beer because I used to play football, Pop Warner football up north, right outside the Genesee Brewery. And it just stunk, man. And when you're tired, you're breathing heavy. And we smell all that. We like, ooh. But that's where we practiced football. That's where we played. So whenever I see a beer, I was thinking, being a teenager, smelling that, and I'm like, And even when I taste it, it still tastes the way it smelled. Till this day, they said, man, try Heineken. Still tastes the same. Man, try the Corona. Put the lime in it. Did all that. I wasted the lime. Still didn't taste it. So I don't fool with beer.
It always just tastes like bread. It's like it's just like any other alcohol. Once you drink it enough, it's just like it's just the flavor of the alcohol.
Nope.
I'll try a Henny and a Coke. I feel like that might be my next alcohol. He asked me what cup size I want. I didn't know what he was talking about. He's like a tall or short. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just copying my father.
The short is always stronger because you can't put much in it. You get it tall, they'll put more Coke in it, and then.
You would think they'd have a better asking that question.
Well, when you're a drinker, you know what they're talking about. But yeah.
That place, that was full of smoke. That felt like Las Vegas. That felt like a casino. That was worse than a casino because it was all compact and everybody. There was so many people. It wasn't like full, but actually no, it was full. Every table was full. And lots of people smoking. It's kind of uncomfortable to walk through the first time. It's like, real poor plates are in there, and me and Kid come in there. We're just missing everything.
I'm just curious to another 30, 40 years from now, that vaping you're doing now is when we're going to find the effects of that then, because they didn't think about lung cancer and cancer from cigarette nicotine. They weren't thinking about that when it first came out. It ain't hit till probably about 30, 40 years later. Then they start putting all those general surgeon warnings on there. Hey man, these it could cause cancer, it could cause the lung disease. So, but when it first came out, nobody knew it was the end thing, just like those vape pens. So,
I'm just gonna play on the hopes that it's like every day I'm living my life slightly healthier. So like I'm just playing on the hopes that like my past won't matter. I won't get struck down.
Hopefully you won't grow a third eye, man, inside your head because of the vaping.
I already have.
And then you float away. But yeah, we're gonna start journalizing these podcasts. It's our first one we putting out there, throw it out there, and we're gonna. If anybody want to know anything about us personally, we're an open book, father and son. Like I said, I've been his father all his life.
I've been his son all my life.
So we just talk about different things that we go through in life, man.
He's been our cousin part of his life.
Yeah. So we just talk about different subjects, things, different matters, life, different views on the same topic, and we still get along per se, I still like him, he loved me. So that's just the thing, man. We ain't gonna hold y'all. If y'all have any thing y'all like us to talk about, just feel free to let us know.
Or any format ideas, because we're spitballing, down for whatever. Really, probably won't format too tough because it's kind of just nice just to just talk about whatever. Like also, we don't want to loop too much. So like, y'all got questions, drop them down below.
That's all I got, man. This is More Time podcast. With your host G Time.
And I'm Nick of Time.
And we got Can Do over there on the boards. So we will see you
next time.
Or rather, you'll see us.
Indeed.